So this guy, present father, Grizzly Adams, as I call him, he's even worse than I already said he is. Here goes another video that came up in my feed. It was from this page that only reposts his videos, which they're a bunch of sellouts because they're glorifying this guy. This guy is a literal child abuser. And he's a numbnuts idiot like most father's rights advocates. So for those of you who might be watching this the first time, this guy, present father, he's on a bunch of different channels. He has hundreds of thousands of followers, and he tells them, hey, you could do it, Dad. Stay in there. The narcissistic mothers do this. The court system does that. And he whines and cries about the system, which is typical of a father's rights loser who, guys like this, they know nothing about family court. They go to family court and like, oh my God, what's going on? Let me do something about it. Let me go on social media and whine, cry, piss, and moan. And then like a moth to a flame, whining, crying loser dads gravitate to that because they just watched in the comment, just watching his comments. I lost too. This is how I lost. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. This guy never gives anybody any answers on how to fight, except he'll say, bend over and take it. I see you, Dad. Stay in there. Just don't clap back at her. She falsely accuses you. Remain quiet. She says this about you. Just remain quiet. Be patient and wait. And you're supposed to sit and wait and watch your kids get abused. If they were being molested or tortured or kidnapped by a total stranger, would you sit and wait if the cops told you not to go look for your kids? If my kid was kidnapped or went missing, I would be hunting the end of the earth for them while the cops are looking, or if the cops don't look. So then, why does this guy say just sit back and passively wait? Because that's what he did. And then he admits in one video that I posted that his lawyer advised him to go for full custody and the mother on supervised visits. He said, I don't want to take the kids away from their mom because I'm a feminist and I bow down and worship women and they can do no wrong. If she was beating the snot out of him or had a boyfriend molesting them, he would say, I don't want to take the kids away. I believe in 50-50. We all believe in equality until somebody does something. We all believe in freedom for everybody in America until they murder somebody. Then they go to jail and lose their freedom. But this guy is the typical PUSSY simp. He's whipped, or he's still in love with his baby's mom. And he's a punk little sissy who won't protect his kids. His ex-wife is more important to him, and her feelings are more important to him than the safety and well-being of his kids. Because throughout all of his videos, he says stuff like, my kids were, and I'm going to get to this stuff that he recently said in this crazy video that came up in my feed. I wish I could remember. I unfollowed this group. I was following them at first, and all they're doing is posting this bullcrap. I forget what the TikTok was, but everybody's out here glorifying all the pussies or corrupt lawyers or Judge Anthony's or that one lawyer I just did a video about. And they're glorifying the loser side of this, whining, crying, pissing, moaning, and no solutions, no answers. Why don't guys have common sense to say, why am I just sitting here watching this guy cry about the system? Why aren't we doing something about it? Or what can I do in my case now? Because my gender, they walk into court having been pussy whipped, and they're pussies in general, and they're soft simps, and they don't think once they get railroaded or bullied or beat down, like if somebody tries to fight them in the street, they'll fight back. But when your baby's mom does it, the spell, it's like the devil jumps in and casts a spell on you, and you're sitting there paralyzed out of fear and won't do anything because of the paranoia in your own head. And this guy is pushing it, and everybody's pushing, and everybody's talking about it. And everybody loves pages like this, and he charges people $10 a month, probably has thousands of people doing it. He's probably getting rich doing it. $10 a month to go in there and have a circle jerk over how the court system sucks. This is how the court system has been exactly the same as it is right now. It was the same 60 years ago, and there hasn't been a single dent in it. And I've been watching it for 25 years because I actually pay attention. It's almost like when you're awake to something and everybody's asleep or they're a sheep. It's painful. There's a scripture that said Jesus was a man acquainted with grief because he saw corruption and sin and people not believing in God or trusting in God, and it grieved him to his core because he knew more than them. When you know more than people and everybody's a sheep and a follower and all this stuff, or they do whatever the government tells them, or they do whatever their mama tells them, or they can't think for themselves, and you know that there's a better way, or like you're Paul Revere, the British are coming and everybody's asleep. Or you know that there's corruption in the government and everybody just surrenders to it, pays their taxes when there's no law. You know, there's this big thing about not paying income tax. There's no law that requires you to pay an income tax right now, you idiots. Like, oh, let's protest the law and not pay our income tax. You don't have to. It's voluntary. It's in the tax code. It says you're voluntarily complying. If you lie in income tax, there's laws against that. But you don't have to pay an income tax, and it's unconstitutional. And there's people who left the IRS and put out a reward for $50,000 in the 90s saying, can you show me the law that says we have to pay an income tax, $50,000 reward, and nobody got the reward because nobody showed them. There's a bunch of people who worked in the IRS that left the IRS and they've never paid income tax since then. But everybody's a sheep because they can't read and they can't do anything themselves and think for themselves. And because it's popular, they follow whatever is popular. Just like the Milgram experiment. People will shock other total strangers to the point of pain or even death because somebody in a lab coat told them to. Just like we obeyed Dr. Fauci and he's proven to be full of shit. But we all obeyed him because of peer pressure. We're a bunch of peer pressure bitches. But let's get back to this guy. Let's look at this video and see the more stuff that he admits to show that he's a child abuser. Okay, this guy abuses kids out of neglect because he neglected to care for his children and protect them from a narcissistic mom because he wanted to be a hero, win brownie points with the Cub Scouts by saying, I want 50-50 for the mom, even though she's abusive, narcissist, who abuses. Let's see what he admits of how she abuses the system. I already did a video on this, so I won't go into it. He said his final hearing update. He went to trial. The mother said at trial, the dad can have custody. I just want every other weekend and I want sole decision making. And he said the judge took it under advisement and he'll get a ruling in a month or 2 months. So this stupid piece of shit, he might get custody, but it's only because the mother surrendered. And he's such a woman worshiper. He's such a simp little pussy. He's willing to take custody now because the mother surrendered to it. But when his attorney was willing to fight and protect his kids, he didn't want to protect his kids. He wanted to cater to the mother. And he voluntarily gave her 50-50. He's so pathetic that it took an abusive mother to surrender the kids to him for him to be willing to get custody. He didn't even want custody until she did it. Now, the judge, because he didn't even fight for full custody as far as I could tell, the judge could still order 50-50 and give her sole decision-making or joint decision-making, and then he's going to continue to be screwed, all because he gave her all that power. The more you look at it, the more this dude's a total piece of shit. And look at this. I got this hater. The first time I pointed out what a sellout present father is, this guy is sitting there saying that I'm bashing other dads. Okay, this guy let his children have an abusive mother be around his kids. This guy is mad that James here, that I'm saying you shouldn't allow an abuser around your kids. This guy is saying I'm bashing a dad. He has encouraged many dads. This guy he has the same gay feminist Jezebel demons on him as this guy, because what he does is he'll say all this pussy stuff. Oh, dads, you can do it. Oh, dads, just hang in there, hang in there, hang in there, take it up the rear, bend over, take it real deep and hard. And this guy says he's encouraged many dads to do what? To bend over and take it up the rear. He's never shown a dad any technique of how to fight in court. In fact, he tells people if the mother is abusive, give her 50-50 instead of rescuing your kids from the abuser. And this guy thinks that's encouraging. So this simp is drawing in a bunch of simps instead of making men out of it. And he pretends that I'm breaking cycles and building better men. And he's being a simp. And then there's a bunch of simps following him, and they hate on me, of course, because I'm telling you to be accountable, grow some balls, and stop being a pussy. And he doesn't like me bashing dads. Then he says, James, this VBD try guy, James, if you really, what your stuff was doing really worked, then you'd have millions of followers. No, I wouldn't, because it takes work, and not everybody's willing to do it. Same thing with personal trainers. There's a million personal trainers out there. Nobody should be fat. But people are still fat because they don't want to put in the work. Just because you're out there telling the truth doesn't You can't go out there and tell the truth and then everybody will succeed in it. There's CEOs and business leaders or Tony Robbins and people like that to tell people these steps to success. Not everybody wants to go to their seminar and go through with it, even though the information is available. This guy's a fag. This guy's a fag. So here goes Grizzly Adams, her present father, on his page in a August 2025 thing. And he talks about co-parenting with narcissists. Now remember, he agreed to 50-50 and wouldn't fight for full custody and the mother supervised, even though his attorney was willing to do that. Some of you would kill for an attorney who's willing to do that. Your attorney won't even attempt to go to 50-50. His attorney advised him on it, and he thought he was being some wonderful saint. He's being a typical simp that won't protect his kids, and agreed that the abusive mother should have 50-50. And then now he's complaining about how it sucks co-parenting with narcissists. He wanted that. And then he, as far as I know, he never motioned the court to change the 50-50. He continued to endure it, and he's out here making money while his kids suffer. He's just as bad as a child trafficker. He's making money off of his kids suffering instead of protecting his kids. What a piece of shit. Let's take a look at it.
Me. Filed order of protection loaded with false allegations. The very day she got out of jail for violating the order of protection I have against her.
Look at that. He had an order of protection against her. She violated it. As far as I could tell, he didn't press charges against her. And she comes to court and falsely accused him. If she was on supervised visitation, they would not even entertain her motions. And he's complaining about what she's doing. And then he still wants her to be a 50-50 mom because he doesn't want to take the kids away from the mom. Do you want to, if the other parent's a drug addict and they're shooting up heroin in front of the kids, would you say, I want to have 50-50? Or would you say, I want the kids to have 50-50, but not until this parent gets healthy and gets better? So why wouldn't this Grizzly Adams why wouldn't he say, okay, I want custody until the mother gets better and gets counseling and mental health evaluation and her anger management problems, etc., and press charges so she learns a lesson? This guy thinks being nice wins when you're dealing with a severe sociopathic narcissist. What a put.
A third time, I had to stand in a courtroom and watch the case get dismissed.
So she violated a detection order that he had against her 3 times, and she's in court fighting him. And then he said the case got dismissed, and he's going to say, I had to pay tens of thousands of dollars to a lawyer, and I had to take money out of our children's education fund. So he's enabling her and serving her up a 50-50 parenting plan that allows her. He's basically saying she's a wonderful human being. She has credibility, and she lets him come to court and railroad him. Did he go for Civil 11 sanctions against her? Did he motion the court for a finding of vexatious litigation where she would have to motion the court anytime that she wanted to file a motion? Some people, you abuse the system so much against somebody that they'll say, this is vexatious litigation. I want the court to order that she can't file any motions. She must first file a motion for permission before she files a motion, or the court can shut it down before I even have to deal with it. But no, he sits here and whines and goes, I gotta spend tens of thousands of dollars. I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. You know what this dude is like? This is literally what Grizzly Adams is like, present father. He's like somebody who his house got broken into. He saw the people leave. He found out who they were. And he didn't want to get them in trouble because he felt bad for them. And then they break into his house again and they steal something else. And then they break into his house again and he never calls the cops. And then like the 3rd or 4th time, he sets out some cookies and milk and says, please don't steal anything. He leaves his door unlocked. So maybe they'll come in and see his niceness and that'll compel them to repent of their ways. Now that seems really asinine and stupid of an example, right? That's how asinine and stupid this guy is, to empower the mother to have 50-50 custody. And I guess he has sole decision making right now, but she has 50-50 custody. There's nothing wrong with her parenting and nothing wrong with who she is. So she comes to court with credibility from the jump because he never held her accountable. This guy must have been single mom raised and he was a spoiled brat, and there was never a sense of accountability in his life. If he grew up with a dad, then he's an even bigger sellout to his kids because he should know discipline, structure, and accountability. Those are things that come from a man. No matter how burly he looks or how strong his voice is, he's a tender, soft cupcake of a little twinkle toes who won't protect his kids. He's a child abuser by neglect. See what else this asshole has to say, child abusing piece of shit.
She's blamed me for the domestic violence she's committed against me. When it came to our custody agreement, the one we both agreed on, the one she and her attorney signed, She turned around later and said, I only got it because I influenced her attorney.
Okay, so look at this. Again, he agreed to a 50-50 parenting plan. If you went to court and fought for supervised visitation, the court would have made a ruling, and the court would never question the court's ruling unless she appeals and gets it changed. But if it's locked in, they won't say, well, the judge didn't know what he's talking about. But this guy agreed outside of court and voluntarily served up a 50-50 plan for her. And then she turns around and says, oh, I should have had more. So the talks outside of court, when you're talking outside of court, that's technically inadmissible in court. His attorney should have objected to her even saying that. But this guy right here, this is his own fault. This is an unaccountable feminine diva. This is what we accuse women of nowadays, having no accountability for their own actions. He served her up a 50-50 parenting plan when it was advised against by an attorney in a corrupt system that's anti-father. He had everything going for him with a lawyer, and he said, nope, I don't want to do that. I want to take the high road. I want to be like the father's rights movement or Dad Talk Today or all these fruity gay boys who sit here and or Mark Ludwig who worship 50-50, whether the mother's a crackhead or not. God, what a subhuman piece of shit. I feel sorry for his kids.
And here's the part that makes you sick. Not one time, not once, has she been successful in any of these claims.
So why doesn't he do a Civil Rule 11 motion for sanctions? And again, a motion for vexatious litigation and sue her for abuse of the process. Do you know in some states like Washington State, RCW 26.51 says that abuse of the process is a form of domestic violence? Let me go to it. So if you're in Washington, there's some states like this. I just know this off the top of my head. RCW 2651, definition of abusive litigation. Let me go to the HTML for the whole thing. Findings and intent. Legislator recognize individual abuser, intimate partner, often you misuse court proceedings. So they're basically it's domestic violence to abuse the system. And this guy is doing nothing about it. And then he complains about it. He said, this really makes me sick. I gave the mother 50-50 and she won't give me credit, and I give her this and I give her that, and I don't get her in trouble, and I can't believe it. That's like letting your kid eat dessert before dinner and say, I told him not to do it, or I told him not to do it. I told my kid not to bully anybody at school. I told my kid not to use racial slurs at school, and they keep doing it, and they're not listening to me. I asked them nicely. Who's the boss here? Who's the parent? Who's the protector of the children? You pussy bitch.
But every single time, I still had to spend money to defend myself.
Yeah, that's his voluntary wish. His attorney was going to shut her down and destroy her from the beginning of the case. But he wants to open up the door to litigation and agree to 50-50. Now, I'm sure he's nice and loves his kids like any other dad. But there's levels to this. If you're a dad who loves your kids, I just want to be a father. I don't want to fight for my kids. You're an unprotected pussy because dads are the protectors. You're the only one who could protect your kids from this abusive litigation and stuff, and you keep choosing to let her have 50-50.
Painters, hearing after hearing. Every new lie comes with a new bill. Stop.
Okay, and so he's complaining about that, but he just recently, like I pointed out in another video, he recently did a video where...
Most dads don't have $400 an hour to throw at some lawyer. Right?
So only now, it looks like that's January 4th, is that right? Only now is he saying you can represent yourself. And what does he do? He promotes a book that he's going to get commission off of by a gay attorney who never had kids himself, as far as I know. So he's promoting a book from this guy who says dads should never do contempt. And he also says that I'm personally radical. And I know some people who got screwed by him. And he's been practicing law for 27 years. And this bitch is such a mind slave that... and it's not just me. There's been hundreds of father's rights advocates telling people you can go pro se. Only now, with this book, only now does this piece of shit, low IQ. This guy is literally dumber than he sounds. And look at how popular he is. I think he has hundreds of thousands of followers. And he's up here promoting representing yourself only because an attorney wrote a book and probably reached out to him and said, hey man, I'll give you a cut of my sales if it's referred from your site. So this guy is just as bad as a family law attorney. He's taking advantage of the situation. You guys get mad at me. Some people get mad at me. Oh, you're taking advantage of dads who are down and out and in the worst time of their life. Everybody who solves a problem charges for their time. But I'm somebody who actually won in court. I tell you to grow some balls. I don't tell you to surrender your kids to a 50-50 plan when the mother's an abuser like this piece of shit. And I've been telling you, you don't need an attorney to help you. And I give you free options with me, so I'm not up here hustling. And this guy's up here, join my group, $10 a month, and you can have a circle jerk with us on these Zoom calls or whatever they do. And then also buy a book from an attorney that I'm going to make money off of. So he's literally making money off of providing no solutions. I just did a video where I show you how to navigate my YouTube channel for free videos, for free information that you're definitely not going to get from him, and you're definitely not going to get. And this guy specifically calls me too radical. I got full custody of my daughter without an attorney. You want to see some major bullshit about this dude? I'm doing a video on how this guy agreed to 50-50 with the abusive, child-abusing mother, and he whined and cried about what she did to him throughout the process, that he let her have control because he's a simp, a little fruity boy. Look at his website. This mother effer charges $250 an hour for a one-on-one consult. I currently charge $80 an hour, and I show you my winning orders. I got full custody of my daughter when she was 7 months old without an attorney. This guy spent tens of thousands of dollars, whines and cries like a bitch that they had to tap into their kid's education fund, and the mother kept bringing him to court. He didn't call the cops on her when she violated a protection order. He didn't do anything. And he's going to coach you how to win? The only reason he has a chance at custody now is because the mother gave up, and which proves the war of attrition, but he spent tens of thousands on what a con artist piece of shit.